All right, let's get everybody else up in here before it's officially time to go. And we got the spinning wheels, 1 and 2. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. I am back, partially back, as you can tell. My voice is not 100% back yet, but we're going to make it go today because I missed you. I missed all of you. It's Thursday morning, the last day of June. God, summer is here and here with a bang. And it's Thursday morning. It's time for an episode of What's the Hat Say? Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendall. Scott is in the background, but I'm going to be running solo today for a quick episode. Just going to be me, which is totally fine. I'm going to violate my own HIPAA here or whatever, but not really. But coming off of COVID here, got COVID probably back in Iowa, but I think day 9 of symptoms now. Just a sore throat. I'm feeling much better. So happy to be here. Happy to hang out with you guys. And let's say hello to some people in the chat. Dale Fleming in here. Morning, Nick, Scott, and Dylan, question mark. And Broncos country afternoon. Ethan, I'm fairly certain you are here. Hopefully Ethan's here. I miss his DWI guy stuff going on. And how is Nick feeling today? Nick is feeling better. Nick is feeling better to the point that he's going to try to do his backpacking this weekend that he scheduled 6 months ago that he was pretty dang bummed about that he thought he was going to miss because of this gosh darn COVID. But I'm feeling a lot better. Sorry about my throat. Also, hopefully I won't be too annoying for the people listening after the fact on the podcast side of things, but probably going to have some coughing, maybe sometimes, mostly just throat clearing there. Probably clearing out all the sore throat. Got the sore throat with the COVID. I felt like I was swallowing razor blades this weekend. It was unbelievable. Ethan in the house. Good to see you, Ethan. He says, good afternoon, gents in Broncos country. Good to see you, Ethan. Man, it's always great to see you. EJ is in the house as well, saying good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Good to see you. And we also got my guy here, Chris Jenkins. Morning Broncos family. Glad to see our usual cast in the Broncos stables. Yeah, Scott's in the background today, but things are going to start getting back to normal here, hopefully in July. August might be a little bit touch and go because I have 3 backpacking trips planned, but it's going to be great. Fallen Sloth in here saying, howdy, Broncos country. Nick, woots, that's how I'm feeling, guys. So happy to see you're well enough to be here. Again, it sounds worse than it is, and I probably look worse than it is, but I'm really happy to be here, feeling better. Rob's in here too. Good morning, Nick. Glad you're feeling better. Absolutely, I am feeling a lot better. I was feeling a little bit better last night. Honestly, I was feeling better last night than I am right now. It's kind of that thing when you're sick where, you go to bed, you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling so much better. And then you wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, not quite there yet, but feeling so much better. Happy to be here. Happy to be hanging out with you guys. It'll be a shorter episode today, but it probably would have been anyway going solo, but going solo off of a COVID is even a little harder sometimes. We got Dom in the house too saying good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country, Denver Broncos for life. The blue circle, the orange circle, the white circle, 3 trophies. We better get a 4th one in there this year. A horse. Hope you're feeling better, buddy. I am feeling better. Dom, it was fun to hang out with you in the chat side of things on Tuesday night. So we appreciate you over on Facebook. Sunny Days is in the house. Good to see you, Sunny Days. We got Dave Glassman in the house also. And Dale asking, Nick, is your wife better also? She is doing better. She's been better than me. She got it before I did. Honestly, I probably got it from her because we drove from Iowa back to Seattle, which is like a 30-hour trip. And I drove like 28 of the 30 hours of that trek. And she was feeling like crap. Sorry if I can't say that. Nah, I'm coming back. Whatever. She was feeling terrible on Tuesday, and we were in the car together, and she didn't test until Wednesday. So she was probably infectious and symptomatic on Tuesday. So that's probably where I got it. Being that close together for that long, that'll do it to you. That's probably one reason also I got it as bad as I did. But feeling better now on the up and up. US Dave's in the house also saying morning, good to see you. And Dale coming in saying, keep it short as you need, Nick. Okay, we're going 4 hours today. No, I'm just kidding. Chris Jenkins also, whatever time you can spare is all we need. I just wanted to come hang out and say hello to you guys. It's been a bit. Obviously, we are entering the dead season of the overall. The July is always pretty typically, slow, but football is starting to gear up, and we have some content to discuss here. And, love them, hate them, think they're the gospel, think they're garbage. I want to give a shout out. We talk about them a lot, but they give us some good content to talk about. Pro Football Focus, churning out content, and they give us some stuff that we can talk about here. And I thought it was an interesting piece that they just released this morning, where they were talking about every team's biggest strength and weakness. And first, we want to say hello to Nova coming in here over on Facebook. Good morning to you. And if you guys are over on Facebook, make sure you're clicking the thumbs up or the heart reaction over there. I see Dom and DeMichael Johnson coming in here with the heart, and we appreciate that over on Facebook. You guys are great. And Chris also saying those long drives will always wear down the immune system. Yeah, I was like, oh man, I have a sore throat and I'm exhausted, but I did just drive 28 hours in 2 days. So who knows? Also in the hotel room with two pets who were not really sure what was going on. So the sleep wasn't the best either, but is what it is. Andrew Lamp coming in here saying, good to see you're getting better. Feeling a lot better. It's great. EJ also saying, we just enjoy listening to your insights, Nick. If you need to dip out early, we understand. I'll probably be out of here in, 20 more minutes, but it's a good time, and I'm really happy to be seeing you guys. Hopefully by next Tuesday, I will be exhausted from the 36-mile, 6,000 elevation gain backpacking trip that I was supposed to do because I'm a psychopath. But it's good to see you guys in here for sure. And Dale coming in with a question saying, on topic, I think, excuse me. We're good. On topic, I think the strength is Russ and the wide receivers. Weakness is the offensive line, and the wild card is the pass rush. Man, great comment here, Dale. The strength being Russ and the wide receivers. I don't know if you guys saw it. I teed it up, gave the suggestion for the content last night for the Mile High Insider show with Thomas and Luke. If you guys hadn't checked that out yet, find it on YouTube or the podcast side of things on iTunes. But they discussed Good Morning Football's reaction on the Broncos finishing 4th in the division. And I think it was Kyle Brandt was saying that the Broncos' unproven weapons were the reason that he was picking them to finish last in the division. He listed Keenan Allen, listed Travis Kelce, listed Devontae Adams being the reason. And, those guys are all definitely more proven than anybody on the Broncos, but I don't think anybody has the depth across the board of weaponry that the Broncos have as well. So I think the strength definitely could be Russ and the wide receivers, and the weakness, the offensive line. I think that there's a discussion to be had here about the weakness, and we'll get into this a little bit. I think that I like to think about it like a grading rubric, or your how your grades line up at the end of the year. So you have pop quizzes, whatever, that are worth, let's say, 5% of your grade, and then you have tests that are worth, let's say, 20% of your grade, with your final being about 40, whatever. The offensive line is probably a test level impact. So it's a big chunk of how good your roster is. And I would agree with you that the weakness is on the roster side of things is the offensive line. I might say that the weakness for the Broncos is the greenness, rawness, and experience of the coaching staff overall. But the offensive line is probably the most important aspect of the roster with the most questions. We can get right into it, though. Pro Football Focus lists the Broncos linebacking core as the biggest weakness. I know. I hear everybody say it with me. Muma. I think I was saying Muma in my sleep. Man, I sound like I'm Kermit the Frog there saying Muma. But the Pro Football Focus lists the linebacker corps as the biggest weakness on the Broncos this season. Ben Linsey over on Pro Football Focus writing, linebacker was one of the more common connections for the Broncos in the 2022 NFL Draft. Ethan, plug your ears, but they didn't end up prioritizing the position. That leaves Josie Jewell and either Jonas Griffith or Alex Singleton as a projected starting tandem, with little in the way of depth behind them, particularly with Baron Browning expected to transition to the on-ball outside linebacker role. On-ball, man, Scott's probably rolling his eyes so much at the mouth jargon that was on-ball outside linebacker role. Teams could look to exploit Singleton in coverage over the middle of the field, as he earned just a 39.3 coverage grade with the Eagles in 2021. Wow, that's a terrible grade. But excuse me, one second. I'm gonna take a drink of this coffee. It helps my throat a little bit. Okay, much better. So yeah, the linebacker core is definitely a weakness, and going into the draft, I had assumed that Chris Jenkins saying I sound a little bit more like Animal than Kermit, maybe closer to Gonzo, just playing. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it sound like I'm gargling marbles, but it's whatever. I'm feeling better. That's what counts. But I love the what is the Progressive commercial with Animal got an animal in the attic. just screaming drums over and over again. I always laugh at that. But anyway, the linebacker position, I agree that it probably is overall the biggest weakness on the Broncos roster, especially with Baron Browning moving to that the edge position. Going into the draft, I thought that Baron Browning showed enough last season that I was very, very, very comfortable with Baron Browning and Josie Jewell with Jonas Griffith behind him and Alex Singleton as your linebacking core. I didn't think you really had to touch it unless you wanted a special teams guy there later in the draft because you have a very high floor with those guys. But moving Browning off of that position to edge really throws a wrench and some question marks at that position. Now, we do know that the Rams over the past few seasons with Ejiro Evero use the linebacker position very, very, I guess, lower than almost any team in the NFL. So the linebacker position, while it is a question in the Broncos, it's not a position that I think you're going to see a huge number of players on the field at any given time for the Broncos. I think you're going to see more defensive linemen in the way of run fits and stopping the run rather than linebackers on the field, off-ball linebackers specifically. So the linebacker position is a big one here. And let's see, we got some more people coming in here. We want to say hello to some folks. Of course, we want to get back to, here we go. Dom saying, gosh, I'm struggling here, guys. I left my mouse in the basement where my wife is sleeping. We have not been sleeping together because it's trying to separate from the animals and give ourselves a chance to get a little bit better sleep. But Dom says, chicken noodle soup, Sprite, and a hot tea with honey and lemon, Nick, bro. You'll feel better. Been gargling hot salt water as well. Would not recommend, not great. But one of my college tricks was gargling hot vodka. So I've gargled. That's the salt water's not that bad. Mark Schrader coming in saying, I think strength is running back and wide receiver, weakness is inside linebacker. Running back is definitely one as well that I want to get into being a potential strength. And C. Patrick Havener coming in here with the support. Thank you so much, C. Patrick. Man, you guys are making me dance with this COVID. I need a little support here. No, thank you so much, C. Patrick. We appreciate you so much. Also saw Mark Schrader's in the house. Mark has been super supportive. And shout out to Dale as well, reaching out, checking in on me as I've gotten through this COVID stuff here. And we got Mark Schrader coming in saying, good morning, Nick. Good to see you, Mark. And you talked about running back. I agree with Mark here that on paper, it's the same discussion we just had about the offensive line. I would list as probably the most concerning weakness, but maybe not the biggest weakness. Running back might be the Broncos' biggest strength, but not the biggest area of impact strength because it's the running back. Everyone roll their eyes. Running backs don't matter. They matter to an extent, but not compared to other positions or areas of the roster. So running back, Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams. I think Melvin Gordon gets a pretty bad rap. And I think he's probably a top 10, top 15 running back. And Javonte Williams is probably going to finish this year top 10, top 15 running back as well. I truly do believe that, especially considering how the box numbers are probably going to change now with Russell Wilson in town. So the running backs, I think, for Denver are going to do pretty damn well. So they're definitely a strength. Wide receiver is up there as well. But what did Pro Football Focus list as the Broncos' biggest strength? They said the secondary. And they write here, Ben Linsey, again, over on Pro Football Focus, says it's not quite the no-fly zone. Who is? But Denver has put together a nice collection of talent in its secondary. Patrick Surtain II looked like a veteran in his first season out of Alabama last year, as he gave up virtually nothing down the field in 2021, with just one reception allowed into his coverage on 14 targets of 20 or more yards. He and Justin Simmons head the unit entering 2022, but there aren't many weak points to attack with veterans Ronald Darby, Quan Williams, and Kareem Jackson rounding out the starting group. Also, this is just me, but I want to throw in Michael Ojemudia and Caden Stearns, and maybe even PJ Locke as well. Michael Ojemudia has been turning some heads. I know Jeff Legwold mentioned him as the biggest surprise in Broncos minicamp, saying that people are just raving about him, how he's been playing. I know that some people kind of hitched on to one play where Michael Ojemudia got beat, but it's a zero-sum game where sometimes if one guy on the Broncos is doing well, that means somebody on the other side is getting beat. So it's an issue there. And also shout out to Mark with the big stars there, 1,200. We really appreciate you, man. Just because you're back, Nick. He's back. No, we appreciate you, Mark, man. It's really appreciate you reaching out over these last few days too, man. It meant a lot. Really did. It was pretty rough there for a little bit. Never had a sore throat like that. I felt like an ice pick in my neck. Couldn't sleep because I'd be waking up with like involuntary swallowing, trying to clear saliva phlegm and be like choking on it. So feeling so much better now. Also, we got Travis Weber's in the house, and good morning, Nick. Getting better. I don't know it's my feed or my phone, but can't hear you. Well, hopefully you guys can hear me. That's the first person that said that. I guess my voice is a little bit different. Maybe I'm at a different wavelength that it's just not connecting with your ears, Travis. Maybe they don't. Maybe the voice this sensual and beautiful doesn't travel through Utah. You guys gonna have to let me know. But we appreciate you so much. It's back, says Travis. That's good. We also got Clayton Huron in the house saying, "Morning, Nick. Man, it's been a while, bud." Yeah, it has. I was here last Wednesday, right? Yeah, I did a show last Wednesday and Thursday morning as well, I believe, before and I was starting to have a little bit of throat congestion and fatigue then, but not like the sore throat I got started Friday. It says, "Morning, Nick. It's been a while. Got the day off. Hell yeah. Man, hopefully you have Monday off as well. 4-day weekend. Ooh, ooh, get it, man. That's awesome." He says, "Smash that like button on the way in, guys, and share. We appreciate you so much." Also, Scott in the background saying, "Off-ball linebackers a mouthful. They should just come up with phrases that describe playing behind back of the line." Well, honestly, then we just need to get rid of. I'm with you, Scott, on this one. But can we stop calling the edge rushers off ball, or excuse me, outside linebackers in the 3-4 defense? That's just, or we can get really, really detailed here, and we can talk about like Buck, Jack, Sam, all the Mike, Will, those positions where they actually are. Maybe that's a little bit too technical. But Dale coming in saying, excuse me, guys. From what I understand, an Evero's scheme linebacker is not impactful. They can be impactful, and if you have absolute, what's what I want to say here, guys who are detrimental out there, it can hurt you. But more or less, I would say it's probably the least important position on this roster on the defensive side of the ball. Now, if you do have a bad ones out there, it's going to hurt, but you don't have to have Luke Kuechly out there for this defense to be great. It's much more important to have coverage guys and pass rushers and just have competency at that linebacker spot. Fallen Sloth saying the phrase hot vodka should be illegal. Cheap hot vodka, too. It was bad. It's called Hawkeye vodka. Not great. I would not recommend, but, always fun when Party Nick came out back in college. Dom coming in saying we do have the best secondary in the AFC West. This is something I wanted to get into, too. It was Mike Renner over on PFF listed the Broncos as having the 12th best secondary in football, which I thought was a little bit low overall. I think it was 9th best in the AFC, 12th best in the NFL overall, but had the Chargers at, I think, 3 or 4 overall in the AFC. So he thinks the Chargers secondary is much better than the Broncos. So I guess we're going to find out. Obviously, Derwin James is probably, sorry guys, cover your ears. When he's healthy, I would take Derwin James over any safety in the NFL just because his sphere of influence and impact, I think, is greater than any other player. Kicker is, he's not healthy very often. But the Justin Simmons, right there, way more consistent, way higher floor. And Patrick Surtain, I'll take Patrick Surtain over J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel Jr., any of those Chargers cornerbacks right now. No question. But the Broncos' depth in the secondary, I think, is the thing that's really going to show out this year. People are sleeping on Michael Ojemudia, and that's not just my Hawkeye bias coming through there. Maybe a little bit. But let's keep it going here. EJ says that weak links need to step up and have a great season this year. Chubb, Judy, KJ, and McTelvin Najim. The Najim one is interesting. He hasn't even played enough to be considered a weak link. He's an unknown. But I agree with you about Chubb, Judy, and KJ. Those guys just need to stay healthy and have a good season. I think the biggest one for me, though, is the offensive line. The offensive line needs to take a big step forward. And instead of being, top 15, top 20 range, pushing that top 12, top 10. But we'll see. That's going to make a big impact on how good this team can be this season. And Greg Smith coming in saying, "Good morning, Broncos, for breakfast." Yeah, hopefully somebody's cooking me some breakfast in the background. We appreciate you. We got Kayleon Green saying, "Hey, buddy, where you been, Nick? I had pretty symptomatic COVID there for a little bit. Not going to the hospital, but gosh, hopefully we don't get flagged for me saying that so much. I personally had it, YouTube gods. So I'm not giving any medical advice here. But no, I'm doing better despite what my despite what my throat sounds like right now. We also got Shandy Bracy coming in saying, "Morning all. Just watched the 97 Jags Broncos playoff game." Why would you do that? Do you think Pookie, or wait a second, was 97 the one that the Broncos lost? I can't remember. I used to watch the VHS tapes like every week in summer break when I was growing up, when I was, kindergarten, first grade, second grade. So I think that's the one. Do you think Pookie and Gordon can do what our stable was able to do back then? 2022 is our season for the backfield. I definitely think it's possible. possible that the Broncos backfield is going to be good. I just can't imagine the Broncos leaning that much on the run game by volume when you have Russell Wilson and the weapons. I think it could be a week by week basis, but I think the running backs are more so there that you can take advantage of teams are disregarding and disrespecting the box and the amount of running games. It's more of a counteract. And Mark telling me to take a drink. I'll do that, Mark. I'll take another drink too. All right, and Gary Leeds Palmer coming in with the stars, I'm sure, because GLP's notorious for supporting us that way. He says, hey, Nick and Scott, glad you're feeling better, Nick. Absolutely feeling better. This is the most talking I've done in a week. So we're holding on, guys. We're taking on water, but hopefully, okay, this is probably the only talking I will do today to protect my throat the rest of the way. So good to see you guys, and you're good to see you, Gary. Also, Jeremy's in the house saying, sorry to come in late, but glad to be here. Feel better, Nick. Yeah, you got on. Not going to be here too much longer, Jeremy, but thank you to see you for a little bit. Reese also says 97 is the loss that made the team mad, and we came back and won back-to-back Super Bowls. Okay, I figured that's the one with like the block punt for a touchdown and everything, and that's how the first Broncos Super Bowl tape starts off. It starts off with that loss. So definitely awesome to remember that, because it's the broken road that led us to back-to-back Super Bowl championships. That's great. It's Jeremy's birthday too, everybody. Let's sing happy birthday to Jeremy, but not me. I'm gonna have to like mime it or ASL it for you. But happy birthday, Jeremy. Probably turning fresh, 34, 35 years old, but that's awesome. Jeremy's one of the OGs in the chat, man. He's been supporting us probably since like the first show. So shout out to Jeremy. Good to see you. Wrapping it on up here pretty soon. Because also now it says my internet, I got one bar, of course. That's the universe is pointing to me. The Broncos' biggest X factor, so the biggest strength being the no-fly zone. I would have said the running backs, but the secondary is more impactful and more important. So if you wanted to put that number one, that'd be fine. I wouldn't disagree too hard. I actually had a hard time with the biggest strength outside of the running back position. So that's definitely one out there. I think the secondary is the way to go, but maybe the wide receivers as well. But you have too many question marks there. I think you don't have as many with the secondary. Biggest weakness being the linebacker. The X factor, though, interesting one here. I don't disagree. I'm going to go a different direction than Pro Football Focus does, though. But they write through 4 NFL seasons, Bradley Chubb has had 2 fairly productive seasons with at least 50 quarterback pressures to go with 2 injury-shortened campaigns, 2019 and 2021. He has yet to develop into the kind of player Denver was looking for when they drafted him 5th overall in 2018. Offseason additions such as Randy Gregory and Nick Benito, along with Baron Brown and moving to edge, should provide spark to the Broncos pass rush, but they would like to also see more out of a healthy Chubb this season. All right, well, doing a little better there. So Bradley Chubb being the X factor, and I think that this is a very good call here. The Broncos getting a dominant season from Bradley Chubb could be one of the things that pushes them over the edge from, finishing 3rd or 2nd in the AFC to finishing 1st and making a real run at a Lombardi trophy. Bradley Chubb, obviously, when he's been healthy, especially his rookie season, dominant. I mean, really, really good. Not Von Miller level of dominance, but incredible. An incredible player when he's been healthy. That's the kicker, though. It's the Derwin James of the whole situation. So Bradley Chubb being the X factor is definitely a big one. Luckily, the Broncos do have some depth at edge this year. Granted, some question marks to those depth positions. Randy Gregory, Nick Benito, Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper as well deserves a shout out. I guess Malik Reed as well. So you have some value there, but Bradley Chubb is definitely a difference maker when healthy and an X factor. If he can be healthy and great this season, look out. And Merch Trader saying Phil's good vodka. Yeah, I'm a Tito's guy at heart here, but really I mostly enjoy my IPAs and my bourbons when I can. I guess I'm pretty basic there. And Luke saying RIP Wi-Fi. Well, sorry guys. It's always something, right? But for me, before we get on out of here, the biggest X factor for the Broncos, in my opinion, is Russell Wilson. Yeah, what do you mean, Nick? Russell Wilson. They said it on the Good Morning Football segment just the other day. The Broncos, is Russell Wilson a top 5 quarterback anymore? That's a big difference maker. And a big difference maker also, Ethan coming in saying, pounds, Nick, all for you. Get better and hope you get to enjoy this weekend as you plan. The closer, Broncos for breakfast. thank you so much, Ethan. We appreciate it. That's so helpful. And man, you guys are great. I'm feeling the love today. It's really good to be back to you. I was having a lot of FOMO, missing out on all the shows. So we appreciate you so much. But back to the final point here. I think the biggest X factor is Russell Wilson. And if Russell Wilson finishes this year as a top 5 quarterback, this Broncos team is going to go a long ways. They should make the playoffs. They could win the AFC West, and they could, honestly contend with any team in football if Russell Wilson finishes top 5. But as they said on Good Morning Football the other day, the Broncos, is Russell Wilson a top 5 quarterback? Question mark. That's the X factor. If he is, this team's going to go far. If not, you're talking about a team that might be pushing closer to 500 in the playoffs, given the toughness of the AFC West. So we'll see. And Jeremy getting into the dig here, saying Nick's immune system and Wi-Fi on the same page. My immune system's getting better, or I'm getting better. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi. Actually, my immune system is pretty good. Those symptoms are a sign of my immune system fighting, right? Come on, guys. Come on, Jeremy. This is basic immunology. No, we appreciate you, Jeremy. And we also have FC Dowling saying you need to gargle Listerine 2 to 3 times a day, Nick, to get that throat straight, Nick. I think it's just because also the morning show. I just woke up, still kind of getting it going here and need to clear everything out. But Kenyon saying you need a straight shot of cognac or tequila, my friend, clear it all out. Tequila might do some work there. Maybe not today, but I also got EJ coming in saying, great show, Nick. Thanks for being a warrior for us this morning. Have a great weekend, Broncos country. Into the Abs Parade. And yeah, you guys make sure you stay safe with the Abs Parade. Obviously, I'm coming off of the sickness now, but I know a lot of people have tested positive coming from the watch parties and stuff. So it's serious right now. I can't believe how many people I know that didn't get it over the last 2 years tested positive this month. It's pretty insane. But Chris Jenkins, the last X factor here, and this is one also I agree with here. Being the coaches, they have a great chance if they are good. Absolutely. Coaches are probably the biggest X factor too. Coaches and just how good Russell Wilson is. I was keeping it more to a roster perspective, but coaches, just we don't know. We don't know how they are at game planning. We don't know how they are going to be at managing adversity. And everybody right now, Melvin Gordon keeps talking, man, everything's different here in Denver. The vibes are different. Nathaniel Hackett's awesome. We're still in the honeymoon phase. This team has not been punched in the face yet. And I want to believe, I think we're going in a great direction with Nathaniel Hackett. But it's one of those things that until we gather more data and see different situations play out, we just aren't going to know those things. So definitely an X factor. And Bama X, sorry to let you know this, but I am going to wrap it up here. My Wi-Fi is crapping out, and my voice is starting to get a little bit worse as well. You can hear that. So we appreciate you guys for joining us today for this nice little quick half-hour episode. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Nick Kendall MHH. Also, make sure you're following Scott at Scout Kennedy. If you haven't done so yet, follow us for this is the Building the Broncos. Well, follow us at BFB_pod, as well as at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you check out the gear store at huddleuppod.com. We got the hats, rocking the Broncos for breakfast hat here. It's good to have that back on. I put on my, the Building the Broncos hat on Tuesday night, even though I was in the background playing Scott. So feeling better there. Also, make sure you guys are checking us out on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod, and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle. And if you haven't done so yet, please over on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share. We appreciate you guys. Everyone stay safe. Sorry that the show is going to be a little bit shorter today, but happy to be here at all. And despite what I'm sounding like here, as I'm like digressing here and devolving, feeling so much better. But gonna get out of here, gonna go gargle some salt water and grab a something for my throat. We appreciate you guys so much. Stay safe. Have a great happy 4th of July weekend. I will see you guys again on Tuesday morning. Until then, choose kindness, choose compassion. Go Broncos.